So your typical different types of investigations, there's a bunch of them. Here's 7. You've got your domestics, you've got your criminal investigations, you've got your auto accident investigations, you've got liability, disability, workplace, and undercover investigations.
So I'm going to ask because I know somebody's going to ask. When you say undercover, are we talking disguises, deception, and all that? What do we mean when we say undercover?
Well, undercover would go back to that job I was talking about. Maybe working as a foreman. Now, in this job, there is some disguises to a certain extent. And we'll talk about that with surveillance when we go into the surveillance side of things. So I'm going to touch briefly on each one of these, and then we'll see a short video. So you got your domestic investigations. You know, if you're concerned about the safety of your possessions, your loved ones, for any reason, I mean, you'll have individuals that will want us to investigate. Let's just say they have a individual watching their mother. They want a background check. A lot of times those situations can be resolved with a good nanny cam, a good, covert camera. But you also have situations in domestic where it's a child custody issue. This parent, when they have the child, is not supposed to be doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm hearing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Hey, can I hire you guys to go out and document that? You know, you also have situations of threats of blackmail. You may have individuals that have been threatened. You terminate an employee and the owner's now being threatened. They may want to hire you to go out and investigate that or observe that individual's activities. Restraining orders. You know, they maybe have those type of situations where somebody is constantly violating the restraining order. You know, or someone is stalking them. As I said before, missing person. But the biggest one, of course, under the domestic falls with the, cheating husband, cheating spouse. We don't do any domestic investigation. It's just never been my cup of tea. I think there's a certain level of liability involved in that. Especially, I don't want me or anybody, the company, to be that deciding factor. You know, now in the beginning, did we do them? Yeah. And there have been, I can think of cases that we worked where mothers didn't lose custody of their kids, but their time was minimized. You know, parental rights was transferred to the other individual. And I guess for me, like I said, we touched briefly on the ethics. It's just, how do you feel about it? I don't like holding that particular situation because, don't get me wrong, those individuals, and this happened to males as well as females, were in violation of the court order. But I just choose not to be in that particular seat. So we don't do any domestic investigation. Anytime we've ever done them, and I've got stories I'll share when we talk about, actually I can share one or two of them now. They have been individuals who've actually known me. So, and it's in most situations, we set it in a domestic investigation, you want to get a retainer up front. That's the difference of a lot of these investigations. So that way your time isn't wasted and that you are being compensated for your time, because those can be long days. They can be different hours. They can require other expenses. Investigations always require expenses. You want to make sure that client can pay. And typically when you're doing domestic investigations, really when you're doing any investigations, you want to be involved with everyone that's involved. So the times that we've done domestic investigations have been situations where, okay, the attorney is who we have the contract relationship with. Now, a lot of times attorneys will say they want to be separate from that because they're already probably having a hard time collecting from their client. And they don't want this to be added, to something else that they're responsible for. And they may say, hey, we'll just have a private, you contact that investigator directly, you guys work that out and have your contract. In any domestic situation or in any situation, you want to have a contract. So should anything go left in that situation, and I say left in terms of compensation, and it has to go to court, you want it well documented, and you want that client to fully understand what your boundaries are. And within that contract, you want them to also know what their boundaries are and what you are expecting. So I'm going to give you guys a story as to why I said what I said about the domestic investigations. True story. Probably been about 10 years ago. Woman in Texas hired a private investigation company. Felt like her husband was cheating. PI was working the case. It was set up outside of a Marriott. Typically, when you work in these cases, individuals will call you to death, like every 15 minutes. What's he doing? What is he doing? Which only impedes your ability to get the job done. You want to stay focused on your case. He reports to her, hey, yeah, I've got him. He's over here at this Marriott. He's coming out of the Marriott. Female walking next to him. She's in her car, Sadie's. I can tell you these are all the things that were involved in the case. Not the type of car made a difference, but anyway. So as the story is told. So she was in her car. Sitting next to her was his daughter. Don't get me wrong, it's her daughter as well, but it's his daughter. He's coming out with a woman. She runs him over.
Are you expecting somebody for an interview?
So he runs him over, backs up over him, runs over him again. Come to find out, that Marriott that he was coming out of was the Marriott where he proposed to her. So a lot of people didn't know that. Investigators didn't know that. Lady ended up going to jail. Of course, the man died. Not really sure. I think the daughter was high school age, so I'm not really sure what happened to her, in that situation, who had to step in that situation, because, now you're kind of losing both parents. So I'm not sure where her biological mother may have been. Mm-hmm. So that's a level of liability. You never know what people's mindsets are. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was saying the contract and the limitations, in terms of, what happened in that particular situation, in regards to, her showing up. That's why we update you the next day. That's why we don't do, domestics. What we're reporting on is workers' comp. We're reporting on FMLA violations and things along those lines. So it minimizes your level of liability. That's one of the things people will, oh my God, you're an investigator? Hey, I want you to do such and such. You got to know what you're walking into. And a lot of times you're dealing with individuals' emotions. So.
Love and hate are very powerful.
Yeah. And you don't know what their mindset is. So you work that case, that guy, you minimize his child support. No, I'm sorry, his parental guidance, increase his child support. So you come to court and testify. Now you're on his mind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you don't know, what people's mindsets are. They may feel like you're responsible. I don't discount people doing domestics. I'm just myself just not a huge fan because of the liability. So it's always important that I kind of paint that picture and let you know there's a lot of what ifs. In any situation, I just think
it just seems like a lot more liability.
Yeah, it's more domestic side.
And like you said, I think you've got the liability piece on that end, and then the financial burden of trying to collect the money. Because some people will say, okay, thanks for the information. I'm not going to do anything. And you shouldn't have brought that to me. I don't want it anymore.
And it's a catch-22 because you're dealing with emotions. So if you don't find out anything, they don't feel like they should have to pay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you do find something, now, you're angry. It's just like, oh, keep running. So, I just prefer to not step into that arena. Next will be criminal investigation. A lot of times there are cases out there where, you got sex crime, you got theft, you got kidnapping, you got assault, you got homicides, you got criminal defense, you got fraud cases, and you got crime scene investigation. Typically, these are cases that you figure the police would handle, and they're normally involved. But you may have the family on the other side, or you may have the attorney that's representing on the defense side, who hires you to make sure everything is in line as it is, or to gather the information so they can take that information and determine if they're going to, what their defense is, in regards to why their client did what he or she did. We do criminal investigations. A lot of times it's really me. I'm probably the lead person. My background before I got into this field, I was headed to be a sports agent. So I was planning to go to law school. I worked at a law firm. So I'm familiar with, how lawyers think, how they're looking for things, what they're looking for, kind of be able to piece it together, so, as a paralegal would do or the law clerk would do. So I still get contacted periodically by attorneys. It's not something that we advertise a lot, but attorneys will reach out to me and kind of help them formulate, what's going on. Have I worked cases where the police have missed things? Yeah. Have I worked cases where everything lined up? Yeah. But one of the biggest things that people forget about investigators are, and I was just saying this yesterday, you're a third-party individual. That's it. People may be upset with you. They won't blame you. You're a third-party individual. You've got two people that have an issue, and they've hired you to investigate. So if we've gone out and documented what happens, and then we turn it in, that's entirely up to you. You chose to make that decision. You chose to leave your home. You chose to, be drinking around your kid. All of those things you chose to do. All we did was document. So. Auto accident. So you get a State Farm, you get Geico, you get a lot of individuals who will contact you to go out and conduct an investigation. Here is somewhere else that's actually pretty good in terms of the drone, because you can take that drone, take it up, and get an aerial view of the area, and that may help you in terms of with your investigation. Typically in an auto investigation, you're going out to the scene. We used to draw them by hand. Then they came up with programs that can kind of recreate. Of course, now we've got the drone, so we can recreate. You want to go out there, typically if you're taking the drone around that same time, hopefully it's daylight, and see what the traffic activity is. Yeah, patterns are. And that's going to help you in terms of how you want to proceed in that investigation. You want to look and see what cameras are there, see if you can get that camera footage, who you need to contact to get that footage. You want to look and see what stores are there. A lot of times gas stations, they have cameras outside. You want to go in and talk to that store manager, see if you can get that footage, because it may be something from that day.
So, to your point, so as a licensed investigator, how hard is it to request something like camera footage from? Because we are a third party.
Yeah. Well, not really that hard.
Okay.
I think a lot of times it comes down to your presentation.
Gotcha.
Every situation requires, I say, a different dress attire. If you work as surveillance, you want to be comfortable. There's no need to, but if you're going to do face-to-face interviews, if you're going to obtain video footage, you just want to, dress the part, show up, present your credentials. Sometimes most times people will give it to you without too much. But in those situations like a State Farm or Geico, those individuals, you've got the attorney behind you. So if they're like, well, hey, you need to call corporate, okay, great, just tell me who I need to call. You gather that information, give it to your client, and then their legal department will request that video.
And it'll go straight to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to touch it.
You don't have to touch it. You're just the feet on the ground, in that particular situation. Like I said before, a lot of times we may have, be required to reconstruct an accident, case in time, weather conditions, might have to reach out to highway patrol. Those reports are pretty easy to get. That is one of the perks of being a licensed investigator. You have access to things that normal people can't get access to. Police reports. I mean, in most situations, you can obtain a police report, but there may be some things that they may not give other individuals access to that they will give you access to. Also with the auto accidents, a lot of times if there's been fender benders, most of the time they're taking these recorded statements over the phone, but the insurance company may hire you and want you to go back out there and get some additional information. They want to go back out there, see if there's any witnesses, check some of the local businesses, if anybody else saw anything, especially if it's two vehicles that have collided. If you got driver A and driver B, and nobody was in the car with either one of them. So they'll look and see, and there's no witnesses in the police report. Maybe one of the businesses remember, you go to Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, or whatever the case may be, and I was working Keita was working that day, and, so then you want to come back, find that person, interview that individual, and provide that information to the insurance company. Now, what we do a lot of is the workers' compensation. Workers' compensation, disability, liability, FMLA. To me, they kind of all fall under that same umbrella. Our job is we get hired by the insurance company. Let's say in the FMLA situation, you have somebody that is out on FMLA or is kind of working a staggered schedule, so to speak, but then they're just kind of calling in randomly about things and they want to put it under FMLA. I was actually talking to a client yesterday, have an individual it's on FMLA, but then they call and they're like, well, I can't come to work today, my daughter's sick. That's not FMLA. FMLA is normally if you have an elderly individual that you're responsible for, things along those lines, like just I'm not gonna say a one-off, because your daughter can be sick today and well tomorrow. That's not an FMLA situation. So a lot of times people they're overlapping. And those things, of course, lead to us being contacted and going out and documenting what you're actually doing. That individual's calling in, but, we get out there and he's backing the truck out going to go fishing, when actually we need him at work.
It's never got better.
Yes. It's like, well,
I know in the military, we talked about the term that we used was malingering.
Yeah.
So you're looking for a pattern to see if an individual is like every Thursday, this person is FMLA.
And you'll have those type of situations. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? That's when where the social media is coming. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are leaving that information wide open. It's still mind blowing. At this particular time, people just leaving it wide open. Yeah, taking my boat out today on Friday. I'm going to the club tonight. They're not locking that information down. And it, like I said, it helps to create that pattern. But also from that, you find out about second jobs. You find out about businesses that they're starting. Things along those lines. I mean, we get, a lot of times you'll have people that work at particular companies. And I can think of a client we had in Tennessee, out east though, where everybody in the department was filing a claim, getting a settlement, opening a business. It was like a whole department. I think out of the 15 people, seven of them filed a claim, went out on comp, eventually settled, took that money, started a business. And ironically, it was, in line with what they normally do. You know what I'm saying? They already had that, being a welder, being an auto mechanic, Now I'm going to go open my own auto business, So in workers' comp, you get quite a bit of that. You'll have somebody that's out on, let's say, on the workers' comp side or the disability or liability side, and then they're working somewhere else. For me, it's always a head scratcher because I'm thinking,
You're already getting paid.
yeah, you're already getting paid, you know what I'm saying? And then, and each state is different. Some states, you're getting 60% of your pay. Some states you're getting 80%. Tennessee, give you an excellent example. Police, individuals who work at prisons. If you're assaulted by a prisoner, you get 100% of your pay. 100%. So whatever you did, exactly that. So that's the other part why people want to offset their,
disability.
A disability or whatever case, because they're only getting a portion of the money, but they also want to take that time and start working on another business. And they're like, hey, here's a way for me. I'm still getting paid at this job. Now I'm working this job. I got that money to apply towards my business. Eventually, when I get my business where I want it to be, I'm going to leave this job. But I need this job to pay these bills while I'm working on that. So, like I said, to me, it's always a head scratcher. I can remember working a case with a guy, and he was a construction worker. I think he did sheetrock, if I'm not mistaken. And we worked the case. Ironically, it was two of us on the case. And we get to, typical day starts at 6. We got there 5:15. We were early. Got some coffee, we were talking, we were figuring out how to set up. 5:30, the garage goes on. So we're like, garage goes up, lights on. Here's this guy, he's walking around the garage, he's putting stuff in the truck. And we're just like, oh, wow. Fortunately, we got here before 6 o'clock. That's why it's very important to be to your case on time. Guy leaves out, drives, he drives into the city of Nashville, into the west side of Nashville. And it was a series of, I don't know if it was a hotel, or apartments, or whatever that was being built. Drove over there, parked the truck, went out, got it, went inside, and he was inside, so we really couldn't see him, but he was inside doing sheetrock and other things. But it blew my mind, and I was like, so this guy's already getting up at 6 o'clock, and he's still getting up at 6 o'clock. So, that's the part where you just kind of say, why not just, go to work, So I'm going to show you a short video that we have on the workers' comp that our clients view.
Injured on the job. But there are some red flags regarding how the employee was injured, which raises some suspicion. During the employee's recovery process, you're having a difficult time getting him or her back to work. When you call, they're not at home, and they are missing their scheduled medical appointments. This is when you need an investigator who can get the answers you need. This is why we started Masterchek. Many times, we need to know what individuals are doing without them knowing that they're being observed. Let us assist with discreetly documenting their true level of activity and then report this information back to you. We have manned and unmanned surveillance capabilities, as well as the ability to work undercover as an employee at your worksite to obtain information in loss prevention matters. During our investigation, we will keep you informed of our progress, and once the investigation is complete, we will provide you a final report with any video documentation we obtain. Obtaining this information allows you to choose to claim, get the employee released back to work, or pursue the employee for filing a false claim. Masterchek's investigators are prior military, some of the most experienced and educated investigators in the area. We have years of experience working both small and large-scale cases. Our world-class investigators understand what it takes to get the results you need and are trained to establish an investigative game plan and think out of the box. Reach out to us today to find out how we can help you with your difficult insurance claim. Masterchek. Let us check out what's going on.
So to summarize what we talked about the typical day of an investigator, types of investigations. We described domestic, criminal, auto, and as well workers' compensation investigation. So let's take a 10 or 15 minute break just to stretch our legs, and we'll come back.